What's up, YouTube? So, made a couple of videos. Actually, I just made one video since the last one I spoke to y'all in. What it was, the last video I was explaining to y'all that I was about to begin assembling the hitch for Project Pull Behind. And, like I said in that video, I was just trying something a little bit different, a little new, and wanted to come at y'all before I did any of the work, and then show y'all the after. And so, here we go. I also posted up another video where I was testing this, and so I'm going to go over some of the things that I encountered and some of the issues I'm about to be addressing, and then also pros and cons and stuff. And I don't think some of the things I'm going to be able to fix. So here goes. So first of all, explain to y'all the hitch. I told y'all that I was going to be cutting off the handle from the original push bar for this mower, and that's what I've done right here. Let's see. Let me get down here and show you guys. So, as you can see, I cut both pieces off the bottom of the push handle, and it already had one hole, and I just kind of had to enlarge it a little bit, and then I drilled another hole right here, and then had a couple old sockets laying around, and used those for spacers to give me a space so that my hitch will fit in between there. And then this bolt is my, my pin for my hitch. So I don't know the length of this bar here. I bought it that long, and I'm sorry, I didn't buy it. I got it that long. Of course, if I bought it, I would have known what size it was, but what it was that angle iron and this flat iron here. I found it. This flat iron was at my job, and the angle iron was in the gas station parking lot. And so y'all can see the gate hinge right there. I explained that a little bit in the other video, so you can see it right there. One of the things I didn't explain in that video was that piece of chain right there, and what it was when I got it all assembled, and I got to thinking that it's probably going to, being that this is pushing, I mean, it's like a weight, so it's probably going to be putting a lot of strain in that part right there. And so I figured I'd put a chain in there to help release some of the strain, and just happened to have a piece of scrap chain from an old dog chain that I held on to, and didn't have to cut it or nothing. It was already that length, and so I put it right there, drilled a couple holes and put some bolts, and there it is. So y'all recognize the engine if you've watched any of my videos. If not, that came off of a trash picked mower, which is right there. That deck is definitely not for to be put back into use. It's rusted really bad. Whoever owned that mower kept it outside and which is why the carburetor was in the condition it was in when I got this engine. And however, it works on here, and but it's not the motor I'm going to be leaving on there. So but I'll come back to that here in just a second. What else was there before I start talking about anything else? I don't think there is anything else. So I had to make some adjustments. One of the things was when if you go back and watch the test video, it was leaving just a small strip of grass in between the side of this side of the deck and where this was catching. And so you'll see there's some holes right there. That's because I had to move the hitch over, and you see right there where I had to move the chain over, and that fixed it. Just that little bit fixed that issue. So one issue I will talk about that I cannot fix or don't know that can be fixed is, speaking of leaving lines, making tight turns. When you're making tight turns with this, it cannot follow the line of this, and I mean, it cuts while you're turning, but if you're making tight turns, it's better to make big wide turns with this, because when you're making small tight turns, it leaves lines in between this and that. So don't know that that can be fixed, you know, other than just not making small tight turns. So now to talk about the engine. First of all, let me say that I really wanted to use this motor. I really had planned and intended on using this on another project. I threw it on here because it was handy, it was available, and it was something I knew I could do really quick to get some testing to test this, and so that's why it's on here. One of the issues that you may notice is changing out the spark plug. I'm going to have to clearance out that angle iron right there if I continue to keep that motor on there so I can get to the spark plug. It's either that or I'd have to remove the motor mount bolts and lift the motor up and change the spark plug. The other issue is when I tested this, I told you guys, I think, in other videos on this mower that I had no idea what size that deck was, that for whatever reason Husky/MTD didn't put a sticker on there identifying what size that deck is. That deck is a 22-inch, and I quickly found out that the blade for that motor was way too big for this deck. And now for testing purposes, what I did was I took my angle grinder with my cutoff blade and chopped off a small section on both ends of the blade and got it down to the right size. However, you got to be careful doing that, and I think it's one of the problems with this right now is that I didn't get it right and equal on both ends because this shakes. So I think that what it is now that blade's off balance, and so this engine just shakes. This mower shakes when it's running. And Not only that, but I have I had in mind another project for this. Well, let me show y'all the motor that is going to be on here. I talked to y'all a little bit about this, I think, in some of my other videos. Okay, it's a 21 inch. I should have looked at this. That told me the cutting width. This is the original motor off of that deck. Originally we took this motor, I'm not for sure why we took this motor off, except for I think it was the fact that this mower was in the floods of Hurricane Harvey. And when I first got this motor, I had to clean the engine, or I'm sorry, the carburetor, because it was full of mud and soot and stuff. And I never put gas in the gas tank. I just shot some ether, some starting fluid in the carburetor and pulled the rope, and it started up on starting fluid. So, but another thing about this is see if I can show y'all real quick here. That valve cover right there, overhead valve, that Briggs & Stratton right there is a flathead, and this is a overhead valve, which means, or what translates into, a little bit more power. Also, the plan I have with that is not using a blade, and you can start a flathead pretty easy without a blade, without that weight underneath. Overhead valve, this engine right here without the blade on it, when I tried to start it, it was almost breaking my fingers, because it would get to the compression stroke and jerk back and almost broke my fingers. So more compression means more power, which hopefully will translate into better performance on that. I know that this is advertising and it says it's a bigger engine. It's 190cc Briggs & Stratton. This is 173cc. So what, about 17 difference? Smaller, but this one's overhead valve, and so hopefully this one will give us the torque we need. One thing I did run into with this one is in tall thick stuff, it killed the motor, and so hopefully this one will give us what we need to get through that and push through that. So other than that, I don't know anything else to tell you guys. Yeah, I don't know what else to tell you guys. I'm going to, after I shut this video down, this camera down, that's what's about to happen, is that motor is going to be put on there. So, and then that motor is going to be put away for a later project. So, also, oh, what I was going to tell you guys also, like I said, the issue with the spark plug here, well, being that valve cover is right there where the spark plug is on this, so the spark plug actually comes in at an angle. So I believe it's going to be easier for me to get to without having to modify that angle. So, there it is, guys. I'm trying to think if there was anything else I needed to cover, which I don't think there is. So I think it's time to shut down this camera and get busy. So please, if y'all have any questions, comments, suggestions, what have you, please put them down below. Subscriptions, subscribe, thumbs up, just anything that y'all feel led. You know, it's always helpful. Please keep all criticism constructive and positive. And I appreciate y'all watching. God bless and take care.